Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel for another shave. Today is the 11th of June and it's brought to us by good old Spice with the ship on the side. That's a hint of what we're going to talk about today. Our razor today is a Supply Model T2. It's an adjustable injector, uses Schick injector blades, and we've got our soap already lathered here, ready to go. How convenient. What's happening today in history? Well, this is the first beginning of a two-day battle off the coast of Maine, a town called Machias, M-A-C-H-I-A-S. At the time, Maine was part of Massachusetts, so they haven't broken off to be Maine yet. So they've got Massachusetts, and there are a few interesting characters to deal with here. As you know, Boston Harbor was held by the British, and they were getting squeezed off from supplies. Along comes we talked about loyalists who were starting to be kind of a thing. Let's make this a little bit more aggressive, dial it up here. Which way? This way. Okay, let's take it up to 3. Loyalists who, for one reason or another, wanted to head in with the British, and our loyalist of the day today, his name is Ichabod Jones. Well, that sounds like a name that should be in a Halloween tale, doesn't it? Ichabod Jones was a merchant at Machias, okay? And he was supplying lumber and stuff. He had 2 ships, and he had a contract to take a bunch of stuff to Boston. Well, along come, to accompany his ships, there was a British ship, an armed sloop. Okay, a sloop in those days. The big ship, it's 35 to 65 feet, good size, but only has one. That's how you can tell a sloop. It has to do with how it's rigged, or the ropes and the sails and stuff. But a sloop generally only has one mast. So the sloop's name, and the ship was called Margaretta or Marguerite, something like that. And not a very big ship. Now 12 to 20 crew, and its officer was a named Moore. James Moore, let's call him James Moore. He's a midshipman. He's not a big one. He's like a lieutenant maybe. But he's supposed to accompany Ichabod's ships back to Boston. Well, the locals, because there's loyalists and colonial, what we'll call them, our freedom forces. Well, they got wind of this contract, and they tried to put Ichabod Jones. They arrested him, and they tried to grab Moore too, but he got away. Midshipman Moore, he escaped to get back to his ship. Well, these are pieces moving fast, but really not all that fast. Half fast. The colonials, they didn't have a ship per se. We didn't really have a navy. no colonial navy at the time. So they commandeered this Joe's guy's ships, the ones that had the lumber and stuff on it. So they armed that ship and took out after more as he got on his ship and was trying to get away. Well, they engaged the Margaretta out in Machias Harbor. That's how we get the Battle of Machias. Not a lot of casualties, but they took out more. They shot him. He was killed. And because he was killed, the ship was surrendered. So, we talk about the first naval victory being, that ship that ran aground and we set fire to it. This was an actual naval victory, even though it was like from a carjacked merchant ship with guns on board. But we took down an armed English sloop. So it was the first time that a ship carrying the English flag, or British flag, was turned over was surrendered to us. We won. It's the first naval victory. Now, of course, there are going to be many, many humiliating defeats, but this one is a win for our side. Kind of satisfying. So it's 2 days worth because, it took a little spell to get everything moving. And this is another one of those battles of thus and such where not a lot of people were killed. Not a huge amount of material or anything was captured, but it's significant in that it's the first time that we beat the British on essentially their home turf, because they ruled the oceans at the time. They had the biggest navy. They knew what was what, but being the biggest and the baddest, sometimes you let things slip a little bit. And that's what I think happened here, is that they gave this Moore guy what they thought was a milk run, and they didn't know that they were going to run into a bunch of folks who didn't realize just how wide this move for freedom became. And it got up there into Machias. I don't know how far north that is from Boston. I see the map of it here, but I don't have any real sense of scale because it's a map that's very crudely drawn. See how we did. So Model Ts are pretty good razors. I don't use it much because, I got too damn many razors. Tiny little buzz, that means that it was getting down to it. Got a little bit of a buzz from the alum. That's a good thing. I'll use some Thayer's lemon. This has been discontinued. Get some while you can. And our aftershave, of course, will be the good old Old Spice. Now this is the Procter & Gamble version. It's a shame that they don't make this the real stuff anymore. Good stuff though. My father wore it. My grandfather used it. Means America on the high seas. That's a sloop rigged ship there. One thing with that's a spinnaker, that's a jib, that's a mainsail. Anyway, that's a sloop rig sailing ship. That's all for today, Shave. Thank you so much if you've made it this far. Please like, subscribe if you're so inclined, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.